We are live. What's up, guys? I want to thank you already for watching. If you're watching the replay, thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to try to give some value today and answer all your questions and maximize this time together. Here's the deal. If you're spending this time with me today, I want to, and I know how much you value your time. I want to make sure whatever time we spend is maximized for you, and we turn that into real results, and it's worthwhile for you as well. So when you get on, go ahead and say your name and where you're calling in from. So what's up, Nicole? I'm going to go ahead and share this as well. Hold on one second, guys. Hope all is well. Go ahead and say your name and where you're watching from. You're live. Already with the love. What's up, guys? Go ahead and say your name and where you're watching from. I love seeing where you guys are, where you are in the world. We're going to talk about the power of self-awareness and really how to know yourself at the highest level, because I don't feel like enough people really know themselves, their strengths, their weaknesses, who they are. That's the ultimate, not just way to maximize business and success, but also to be fulfilled as well. What's up, Nicole? What's up, Darnell? What's up, Dylan? What's up, Manish? India in the house, Colorado in the house. If it's the Dylan I'm thinking from Colorado, what's up, Game Changer? All right. Hold on, let me share this, guys. Lake Charles. What's up, Wesley? Shanisha. What's up? Carrie, what's up? We're going to get started in like 20 seconds. I just want to share this. And by the way, guys, if you know anyone that you think would benefit from really understanding who they are, knowing themselves, some of the powers of knowing your strengths and weaknesses, please share this. We're going to do a contest like we always do. If you share this and you post below where you're watching from, you'll be entered into a drawing to win my book, 6 Months to Six Figures, signed, which I'd love to send out. New York City in the house. What's up, guys? I'm going to show you this cool view as well in a second, but I just want to share this, and it's going slow. Hold on. Share. There we go. Let's get this stacked up. Get some people watching. Share. All right. Be patient. Fired up. Okay, we're live. All right, I want to show you guys this view. Pretty awesome. Wasn't going to, but I was like, yeah, might as well. You guys like to be inspired, right? Check it out. Amazing. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's get this started. Ramaya, what's up, my man? A lot of game changers. All right, so I'm assuming a lot of you guys are in different spots. I wanted to do this Facebook Live because a lot of people are asking me about how to be more fulfilled, how to be happier, how to maximize where they are, how to be more resourceful. Maybe they're struggling to get the 6 figures. Some people are struggling to get the 7. Everything boils down to really understanding who you are and how to spark your own fire. So questions you need to start asking yourself. And I really want to dive in and give you guys as much value as possible. We're going to talk about the things I put on there. Mastery versus overload, creating your one-page plan, really figuring out your unique ability and the power of your strengths and weaknesses. Because if you can figure this out, this is the game changer that really can take you to a whole new level. And when you get to that new level, it'll actually be fulfilling, because I know a lot of people that are at 6 levels ahead, but they're not fulfilled because they don't really think through why they're doing what they're doing, or they don't really think through if it's going to keep them engaged and fascinated at the next step. So that's the key. So the first question that I always ask myself is, how much control do I really feel like I have on my business and my future? People that really create extraordinary lives know they have 100% control over their success, over their future, and over their current results. So do you fully believe you have 100% control over your success, and over your future. That's the main thing. A lot of people don't fully feel like they have control. They're letting external circumstances affect them. And for me, when I was broke and struggling and stressed out and frustrated and discouraged, I was blaming the economy. I was blaming my area where I was in Washington. I was blaming all these different external things on why I wasn't succeeding. The minute I took full responsibility for my success, the minute I said, it's all on me, that's when I started changing my success, my business, my mindset, and everything else. All right, real quick, go ahead and say your name and where you're watching from. We're waiting for a couple more people to get on. Said they were coming on. So that's the first question you have to dissect is, do you fully believe you have 100% control over your success, your future, and your industry? Because I want to dive into something that's really helped me at the highest level the last couple of years. And it will take care of a lot of stress, a lot of frustration and overwhelm. It'll wipe that for you. Because being self-aware can not only enrich your life experience, okay, it can protect you from the false beliefs you've had, the myths, the lies that you've been told, and even some of the lies we've been told since we were born. But being woke and staying woke in this new economy is the ultimate advantage. So here's what gets interesting. And this might be refreshing for some of you guys, and it might really frustrate you. Okay, so here's the deal. In the last 12 months, and it depends on the results you've gotten, it depends on where you're at in your business, how much personal growth you've absorbed, or how much money you've invested. But in the last year, I've read the least amount of books I've ever read. I've attended 0 seminars, unless I was speaking at them. I've listened to 1 podcast. I've had 1 mentor, and I've invested in 1 mastermind that I knew was congruent with my vision and my values. And I had the right entrepreneurs in that mastermind, right? Now, not because I don't enjoy learning or studying. I've learned more than I've ever learned this last year, but it's a different kind of learning, okay? So what's been the difference? For me, not absorbing as much information last year, and literally the least amount I've ever absorbed. I've been focusing on really understanding myself, and I've tripled down on my strengths, and I've focused on mastery versus overload. So I focused on self-awareness, my values, my gifts, and who I am as a human being, and my results have been the best they've ever been. I don't say that to brag. I say that because I see a lot of people investing in so many different things. They're trying to learn everything. They're watching YouTube videos, audios. They're investing in mastermind seminars, and they're still at the same position, or even worse, they're overwhelmed. That's why it's so important to focus on mastery versus overload. And it's been more difficult than ever trying to find people to follow that are world-class in every area. And at this point in my life, that's all I want to follow is people that are very, very intentional, congruent, and world-class. So that's the main thing. So when's the last time you really put some thought into who you were and what you stood for? Because I'm going to give you 3 keys to really, really figuring out who you are, figuring out your core principles, figuring out your values, because that's everything. If you base everything that comes across your desk, everything in your email inbox, everything that you get approached with, if you measure it against what's most important to you, that's how you're going to live most congruently. Most people just say yes to everything, or they don't fully think things through. They're not extremely intentional with what they do. They're not thinking ahead when they take on an opportunity or when they start it. Okay, am I going to be engaged and fascinated 1, 2, 3, 5 years from now? What is the upside? Is there an upside? Do I have a chance to replace myself, to sell the business, to structure it, to exit, or scale it up to where I can have time for my family, flexibility, freedom, and build a lifestyle? A lot of people don't think about that. And your level of success will seldom exceed your level of really knowing yourself, okay? So think about the last time you put a lot of time and effort into really understanding who you are and what really makes you tick and what sparks your fire. What are your creative geniuses? What are your unique gifts? And what are your weaknesses? Because there's things that you shouldn't be doing and don't want to do and can't do that need to be delegated and properly distributed to people that love doing that stuff. This stuff gets me fired up because I see too many people making this mistake. So you want to make sure that you really understand your strengths and weaknesses. What's up, guys? Go ahead and say where you're watching from. I appreciate all you guys watching live, and I'm excited to dive in. So self-awareness is extremely underrated, and I think knowing yourself is more powerful than any course, book, mastermind, seminar, program, whatever. And I really want to dive into the 3 untold truths for me that have helped me this last couple of years. And I want you to understand, once again, that being self-aware will enrich every area of your life. Every single area will be enriched if you're focused on self-awareness. I was in LA doing some videos a while back, and I was aware of something. It was kind of interesting. I saw so many, by the way, I want you to like this. Let me know if you feel like self-awareness is a huge part of success, because maybe people don't understand the importance of it. Let me know, like this, or say yes below if you feel like knowing yourself and really understanding your strengths and weaknesses and who you really are is a major key to success. You guys agree? What's up, Jody? What's up, Avery? What's up, Wesley? I already said what's up, Wesley. Kevin, Supriya, Joseph, what's up? San Diego. Erica, how you doing? Good to see you. Natalie. Let me know, guys. Do you feel like self-awareness is important to success? I want to know kind of who. And a lot of people go through their entire life really not knowing themselves. And I've been obsessed, and I failed trying to figure this out. But I feel like I finally have it figured out. And I don't want you to have any regret. I want you to say, you know, because I watched this live feed, I'm really going to change the game for myself and for my business the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years. Think about how many people we know that are 40, 50, 60 that don't know themselves. They haven't had an original thought for years. They're having recycled thoughts society wants them to think, or they're living in other people's expectations or doing things they feel like they have to do because they've settled versus doing what they really want to do. A lot of these big companies are paying people to give up on their dreams. Like, think about that. They're paying people to give up on their dreams. So let's dive in, because I really want to talk about self-awareness, because letting too much time go by without evaluating who you are breeds complacency and nothing worse than frustration and regret in business and life. So yeah, most of you guys agree. Awesome. So let's dive in. Number 1, you have to know and define and solidify your core values, your principles, and your most important priorities. You have to solidify that, because if you don't live based off what's most important to you, you're going to live in regret and you won't be congruent. So for example, a lot of people say, oh, my priorities are family, but they're working all the time and they never see their family. So they tell people, I'm a family man, my priorities are family. No, your priorities are whatever your action shows. Priorities aren't expressed by words. Words actually mean nothing these days. Okay, you're expressing your priorities by your actions, by how you live your life. So something I've created is called a 1-page plan, to where I've simplified everything on the 1 page. And what goes on this page, because you have to adopt minimalism. It's a great way to run your business. It's a great way to run your life. You got to get rid of all the messes and all the noise out there. Most things don't matter. Most things that affect your state of mind don't matter. So read a few great books, have a few good friends, focus on a couple things that you know are going to have the biggest upside in the next 1 to 2 years, right? So the first thing I have is you need to figure out your ideal outcome for the next 6 months. Like, what is your ideal vision? Like, if everything was to go well, what is your ideal outcome? So that means, like, how much money you want to make, how big is your team, how involved are you in your business, how many transactions do you want, what are the systems of your team? If I ask 100 entrepreneurs, and I mean established entrepreneurs, if I ask 100 of them what's their ideal outcome in the next 6 months, 98 out of 100 are too vague. Oh, I want to make more money. We want to have this much funding. We want to have this many people as employees. I want to make this much per month. It's not detailed enough. You have to really figure out in detail what is your ideal outcome. And here's the key. You need to base it off of your potential and what's possible, not off of insecurities or past limitations. A lot of people base their future off their past bad experiences or off their past limitations or insecurities or frustrations. That's the problem. So they're setting themselves up for failure. So you have to make sure you base it off what's your ideal outcome as well, right? So you have to be willing to give yourself some special attention here and start thinking things through. I did a rant yesterday. I'm in Arizona right now. I did a rant about thinking. A lot of people reach out and say they're overthinking things. And the reality is thinking is good. Overthinking is even good. It shows you're intelligent. But there's a time for thinking and there's a time for execution. You need to figure out what time in the week, you need a time block when to think and when to execute. And don't be thinking when you should be executing, and don't be executing when you should be thinking, right? That's the big key for business. So On your one page, simplify and put your ideal vision in the next 6 months, your ideal outcome. Next thing down is, what are your values? What are you going to live by? What's most important to you in life and business? It could be family, legacy. It can be adventure. It can be income, impact. Think about your past, what things have stood out, what life experiences have molded and shaped you. Start thinking about those things. Because most people live based off circumstances and what life throws at them versus having standards and principles. So think about that. What are your ideal visions, your ideal principles? Maybe it's, and it matters what stage you're at in your business. So there's different stages to your business. Obviously, if you don't have money, you're going to want money to be one of your top. But once you start getting the money, you have to flip that. When I was in my sacrifice stage, when I was 22, 23, my focus was to build my business and to make money. I missed a lot of family events, but I knew if I did that when I was 26, 27, 28, I could do whatever I wanted and I could have the flexibility and freedom to be with family, right? So underneath your values, write down the top 5 things you want to accomplish the next 6 months. And then below that, write down the top 5 reasons of what really drives you. The reasons come first, results come second. Reasons come first, results come second. So write down 15 or 20 reasons of what really drives you and why you're doing what you're doing. We did a survey in my company probably 6 or 7 years ago. I had 12 or 13 employees. I had 150 sales reps. They each had different levels of success. Some were 19, 20 making 6 figures. And here's the deal. We took the top 10 people as far as the results go. This was an interesting survey, but I want you guys to understand the importance of this. We took the top 10 people in sales, and we figured out that the top 10 in order had the strongest reasons. The person that sold the most, that made the most money, that had the best results, had the strongest internal, most compelling reasons. The next one down had the next strongest. The number 10 had the number 10 strongest. So it was literally based off their reasons. And the people that were struggling, that weren't getting results, that were moaning and complaining and bitching about, I'm not getting the results I want, I don't have leads. They had all these external reasons why. They didn't have strong enough reasons. They didn't know why they were doing what they were doing. The startups that crush it, the startups that get investments. I was in Tokyo with Tim Sykes and Gerard Adams. We were doing this investment thing. We were and we were looking to invest in these companies. There was 25 startups. The one company I invested in had the strongest reasons. They were solving a huge problem, and they articulated that problem to us investors. So we knew that this was a big, big company and had a lot of upside. So think about that. You don't have strong enough reasons, all right? Come up with 5, your top 5. And if you're not waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning, fired up and excited to take on the day, you don't have strong enough reasons. You need to reevaluate what you're doing. I want to hear some of your reasons. Let's see how strong they are. Comment below, what are some of your strongest reasons for why you want to succeed, for why you want to get to 6 figures? Some of you guys, as I see on here that I know are already at 6 figures, why are you trying to get to $500,000? Why are you wanting to get to 7 figures? The what is one thing, but the why is where the what comes from and makes it stronger. That's your fuel, because the minute you set goals that are challenging, what happens is challenges come up, and if they were easy, everyone would be doing it and it wouldn't be worth much. So the minute you set a goal that's tough, you're going to be tested to see if you deserve that. And you use that fuel to get past those tough times and not quit and bounce back, right? Find a cure for my son, that's huge, right? So write down your strongest reasons in the chat. I want to see some of your reasons. And I want to take a drink of water because I'm getting passionate. Whew. See, better lifestyle? Yeah, everyone wants a better lifestyle. That's not strong enough. What do you mean better lifestyle? Why? What does that better lifestyle do for your family? What will it do? What kind of emotions will it spark for your husband, wife, daughter, son? One of the biggest motivations, if you have kids, I've heard, I don't have kids yet, I've heard, is looking in your kids' eyes. Just looking at your kids' eyes should be enough motivation to never, ever, ever settle or struggle. Bring my brothers to the U.S. to create a new future. That's a huge one. Love it. I want to keep getting these reasons going, guys. So after reasons, then you want to figure out what's the 1 or 2 skills you want to master that are most relevant to those top 5 that will get you to your goal the quickest. So here's the key. Now, once you choose what topic you want to master, You don't study anything else. Okay? Every podcast, book, audio, program you listen to needs to be focused on that. Now it's focusing on mastery versus overload. Say no to most books. Say no to most podcasts. Say no to most people you follow. Start taking few opinions, which we'll talk about next. But now it's focusing on mastery versus overload and asking yourself, okay, have I mastered the information that I've learned? Have I executed? Is this the best possible information on this subject? And if you haven't executed, don't move on. So there's this grass is greener mentality in the personal growth space that I can't stand, where people are so obsessed with personal growth and they make up for lack of action by saying, oh, I studied more, I learned more, I have all these different courses. The reality is it doesn't mean anything unless you're executing. So pick and choose one topic for the next month or two that you're going to master and ignore everything else. And then don't just master that and learn it, execute, and don't move on until you've seen some results in your business. Here's the key. Get addicted to outcomes and results, not information knowledge. I know people that are addicted to information and knowledge, and they've read 50 times the books that I have the last 2-3 years. They've invested in way more courses. They've studied way more than me, but they have no money or results. How is that possible? Because I know myself. So if you're using the information to really know yourself and to execute, that's different. So mastery versus overload, all right? So I'm going to ask some questions that I want you guys to jot down. You guys can watch the replay if you want, because I'm going to go kind of quickly. But how are you going to operate at your best and get back in the zone when you're not in the zone? See, peak performers and achievers can get themselves back in the zone on demand. So what is your ritual to get yourself back in the zone? If you're out of whack, if you're frustrated, if you're in a bad mood, if something happened in your business and you don't feel like waking up or working out, by the way, behind every feeling is nothing. Behind every principle and standard, there's a promise. Okay? So think about that. What is your ritual? For me, I know what I do. I do some push-ups. I listen to my favorite song. I change my atmosphere. I walk around the block sometimes. Sometimes I'll shoot hoops in my backyard. But I call my mentor, someone that's playing the game at a higher level than me. Once I do those 3 or 4 things, I'm back in the zone. So you need to have a ritual. And then you need to teach the people you inspire and motivate. That you need to teach your sales team, okay, how to get back in the zone when they don't feel like it. Can you spark your own fire regardless of any tragedy or circumstance? Do you really know your unique ability? Do you know your biggest area of strengths? And do you know your biggest area of weaknesses? When's the last time you admitted to somebody that you have these weaknesses, or somebody called out your weaknesses? Right? When's the last time you went to your team and said, you know, guys, here's the deal. If you're running a sales team or a team, if you have horrible results, it's your fault. If you have okay results and you're doing okay, it's you and the team. If the team's crushing it, it's all the team. But when's the last time you told your team and said, hey, I want to apologize for not holding you guys to high standards. It's totally my fault. I'm going to start challenging you guys. I know there's a lot more potential, and I'm taking all the blame. When's the last time you took full responsibility for weaknesses and then delegated those? There's someone that loves doing what you don't like doing. And the game changer is you finding that person and then sharing the vision so you guys are both working on your strengths. That's how you build a thriving business as well. One of my good friends, Ryan Blair, built a company and sold it for $790 million. He gave a talk to our academy and was talking about how to position the company for the exit and how to position the company for culture and whatever. And he said everyone was focused on their strengths. Everyone knew exactly what their roles were, and they didn't let anyone else get into other roles. Okay, think about that. Do you have everyone in your company operating at their peak performance? I'm here with some of my video crew. You can't see them, but they're doing video, pictures, editing. If I had to edit a video, I would die. I can't stand, actually, not that I can't stand, I don't know how to do it. And I don't want to learn. And I don't even want to think about learning it, to be honest. If I think about learning how to edit, I get a headache. So the reality is I have everyone on my team that's focused on what they love and their strengths, right? What's your polarizing point of view that you want to get out in the world? What's your persona? How well do you know your audience? Have you clearly defined what makes you different and how you're going to stand out? Right? So choose 3 or 4 values that describe your philosophy of living, right? In 3 or 4 words or values, what's your philosophy for living? What 3 values do you want to pass on to your grandchildren? What are 3 qualities you must have in your ideal business partner? What are qualities you must have in your significant other? I mean, there's a lot of questions you can ask yourself to dive deep into who you are. I just gave you some. So put some work in and put some time in to working on yourself. Because when you know these things, your strengths, your weaknesses, what your best skills are, how to enhance those skills, that's when you're going to level up, right? That's number 1 is principles, values, standards. Number 2, you have to have a supportive and congruent environment, and you have to sometimes reality check your environment. What that means is stop following anybody who doesn't have similar values or different visions than you do. So make a list of the top 5 people in your life that you're following that have similar values. What that means is the millennials these days follow anybody that has results. So let me give you an example. If one of your values is flexibility, lifestyle, and family, don't follow someone that's 50 or 60 years old that's working 100 hours a week talking about hustle, grind, and never sees their family. Why would you follow someone that never sees their family if you want to have a great family lifestyle? It makes 0 sense. Because then you're going to start implementing what they do, then you're going to be living congruently. So for me, I want to coach my kids' basketball team. I want to travel. I want to have everything on my terms. So when I'm 50 or 60, I have a long ways to go. When I'm 50 or 60, I don't want to work and be tied to a business where I have 400 employees and I'm talking about hustle and grind all day long and working 100 hours. I don't want that. So I'm not going to follow anybody that is that age, that does not see their kids, that works 100 hours because they're living congruently. So stop following people that don't align with your values and your vision. Huge, huge key. So pick 4 or 5 people. And you also want to surround yourself with people that are not content, but people that really know themselves. And they're proud and excited about who they are. And no matter what the environment, what the circumstances, what people they're around, it doesn't dictate who they are. I know people, I've lowered the time I spent with them now, but I know a lot of people that whatever environment they're in, they mess that environment and they change their values and who they are and how they talk based on where they are. That's not someone I want to be around. I want to be around someone that has strong values, like that really, really knows who they are. So make a list of the 5 people that know themselves, that know their values, that have a similar lifestyle that you want. And make a list of 5 maintenance people that you have that maybe hold you back or don't know themselves, or they're always changing careers and they're always talking about a new idea and this and this and this, but they never execute or think things through. And just lower the time you spend with those people and increase the time you spend with the people that really know themselves. Because if you want to get to know yourself at a higher level and understand and be more self-aware, everybody around you in your circle has to know themselves already. Because remember, as your circle as the vision gets bigger, the circle gets smaller. So you can't expect to have more people around you when your vision obviously gets bigger. It doesn't make sense, because you're going to make some people insecure when you're talking about big visions, because they're not there yet. They don't have the strength, courage, and vision you have, right? So get around people who know themselves. And let me explain where this came from me. I knew people who were crushing it in business. They have amazing content. They're reaching millions of people, but they work 80 hours a week and they never see their kids. That's not world class in my eyes. Now, if you're in your sacrifice stage, that's different. You have to have a sacrifice stage to where you're in a place where you're crushing it and you're not seeing your family and you're missing family events like I did. You have to have that stage. If they're in that stage, it's different. But I don't want that lifestyle of people crushing it but forgetting their families. I know people that are worth 100 million, but they have health issues. They forgot about their health. They put their health on the back burner. And that's not world class to me. I know people that are number 1 sales reps in their company, number 1 in the entire company, number 1, right? But they have a trail of failed relationships behind them, right? Or they go out till 2 or 3 a.m., they party and do these things that I don't fully believe in. Well, I'm not saying that's bad. There's no right way to live. These aren't the wrong or right way, but I want you to draw your own conclusions and study who you want to study. But the reality is, I'm only going to study people that I feel have similar values and ethics, and I feel have integrity and are world-class in different areas. Like, let me ask you a question. You can answer yourself. If you know a CEO that's making $500 million a year, but their kids don't know who their dad is, or they don't have any relationships with family or anyone around them, is that world-class? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe you think so. Someone said on a podcast earlier with my boy Austin, he said, you got to pick if you want to be a great entrepreneur or a great dad. And I'm like, that's actually the stupidest thing I've ever heard someone say. You want to pick between, huh? And obviously this guy wasn't world class, so it doesn't matter how great his content is, I would never follow him. Because he's picked a great entrepreneur and he's left dad or father or brother or sister or husband or wife on the back burner. You can be world class in every area, but you have to define what's most important to you. Period. Okay, I'm not going to magnify people's faults, but I'm simply stating that if you want to speed up the process for building a great lifestyle and a great business, follow people who already have it. Number 3, mastering your emotional intelligence. Let's do some Q&A too. Any questions that you guys have, anything that you want me to clarify, or any questions regarding knowing yourself, maybe how to get rid of toxic people that don't make you feel exceptional, how to build a business, how to hire the right people, productivity. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them. What's up, Michael? What's up, Tim? What's up, John? Hamza? Man, a lot of game changers on here. Some of you guys are already crushing it, and you're on here still trying to learn and grow. Ever, what's up, my man? Good to see you on here, learning, growing. So, emotional intelligence. You have to know your emotional triggers. You have to know what emotions you've had in the past when you've dominated your industry and your business. Think about what emotions you've had that you're experiencing when you're crushing it. And then think about all the emotions that you've had when you're struggling, when you're frustrated. And you have to try to replace those emotions and try to get those 5 positive emotions in you as much as possible. So you don't want to suppress your emotions or deny their causes, but you have to be able to be flexible with them, right? What really irks you? What makes you cringe? Like, what frustrates you? You might find some passions and some polarizing point of views or a marketing campaign around something that frustrates or pisses you off. I hate old school speakers, by the way. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. The speakers that give the same speech over and over and over again, and then you find the same exact speech on YouTube for free, and they never, ever learn or grow. They're just regurgitating the stuff they did 10, 15 years ago. I hate that because I feel like they're selling the people short and they're not consistently growing. I don't like that. I want to be a speaker that always brings new and relevant content. I hate people who live incongruently, who promote one way and live another way. Right? I feel like school wasted my life. I can't stand a lot of school things I learned, right? These are things that frustrate me. But you have to know your emotional triggers and what frustrates you and what really keeps you engaged and fascinates you and what triggers you to be at your peak performance. You need to know these things as a human being. Okay? Next is embracing your intuition. Successful people trust their gut instincts and they take risks associated with them. So your instincts are based on survival, and you need that to succeed. So they tell you what to do next. So you got to learn to use and trust your intuition. And then, of course, practice self-discipline. Good leaders have figured out how to trust their intuition, but also how to use self-discipline and habits to guide them. So habits trump inspiration. Inspiration is one thing. You can be inspired real quick, but if you have habits that define you, that's when you're going to really succeed. So think about what emotions have held you back in the past. What emotions propel you forward? Where you're short-tempered? What frustrates you? How to change that? Where can you grow your emotional IQ? Where can you grow your emotional IQ? Only you know this, but I just want to challenge you to think about it, right? What's up, Benny? For the first time, huh? Well, welcome to the Peter Vu Content Show. I appreciate you joining. What's up, Jay Weeks? Always growing, always learning. I want to learn all about your cruise you went on. Has everyone got that? So about family, how do you know when to cut off the grinding when you're home with the family? You have to define your priorities and figure out what results you want to accomplish before you feel like you deserve family time. So it depends on what stage you're at in your business. If you already have big results and you're crushing it, then you decide based on where you're at and say, you know, I put in a lot of work. I have this much saved. The business is doing this. I'm going to spend a lot more time. But my family deserves more results, and I want to build my business a little higher. So time block and figure out your most important priorities, and then figure out what stage you're at in your business. Because I know you've been in grind stage. You've been grinding hard. So when you grind hard, reward yourself by being with your family. And I'm not telling people not to see their family, but if you start doing things you don't fully deserve, then you're going to trick yourself, and then your family's going to hurt because, yes, you might spend time with them, but you have no money or you have no peace of mind and you're not fully present. So you have to sit down and define, okay, and here's another thing with family. It's important to be as efficient, effective, and productive as possible, and tell yourself, I will be disciplined instead of working all the time. The biggest thing with family is you want to make sure when you're not with family, when you're working, you're absolutely in focused, savage beast mode, like getting rid of all distractions and ruthlessly eliminating people that want to steal your time and just being super focused on results and what drives the needle. So when you're with your family, I was just at work for 6 hours. I just maximize that. The biggest thing I've seen is people don't maximize where they're at when they're working. Then they get home and they feel bad for not maximizing where they're at. Then they're not focused. Then they spend time working while they're with their family when they should have been doing that at a higher level when they're working. That's the biggest thing, right? So hopefully you got that. But that's one of the biggest things. Also, guys, some people ask me how to motivate your families. You don't. You live your best life. How do you motivate your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your friends? You don't. You live your best life. And the right people will catch on and ask you what you're doing. If not, shame on them. So you just practice what you preach and you get results. You're happy. You live an inspiring lifestyle. Trust me, people will ask you what you're doing as well, okay? And lastly, guys, just watch what affects your state of mind. What is your criteria for what affects your state of mind? And what is your criteria for what you take on as a human being, as a business owner? What do you spend time on? What are you going to let affect your schedule? This is all under emotional mastery as well, okay? And that's it. So simplified, know your values, know your worth, know your most important priorities. Only you know that based on your past experiences, based on what makes you tick, what gets you super lit up and excited, and what frustrates you, right? Maybe if you're frustrated working for somebody and you always are frustrated with them telling you what to do, that's a sign you need to be an entrepreneur, right? Second is have a congruent environment and make sure you're around people who know themselves and only follow people who have similar values that you do, and make sure you're very strategic with who you allow in your inner circle. 3 is just try to master your emotional IQ. I'm getting better. I'm not perfect. And the reality is I just want to do this to help you guys get one thing. If you get one thing from this feed, I've done my job. And I appreciate all you guys that have shared. Once again, if you share this and you comment where you're from, you'll be entered into a drawing to win a hardcover signed copy of my book, 6 Months to Six Figures. And also, obviously, the most valuable currency there is right now in the world is the effect you have on someone else. So if you got some value, maybe share this with someone you feel it would help as well. So let's do one or two more Q&As. What are your thoughts on spreading yourself thin in regards to interests, hobbies, goals, and dreams? It all depends on defining what you want. So whatever's most important to you, define that, and everything's based on your values. That solves all problems. So if you're saying yes too much and it's causing you to be spread too thin and doing things that maybe you're not paid on and you have money issues, cut those things that don't provide profits. So for me, one of my biggest is peace of mind. So, and I like freedom. So I ask myself, is this going to contribute to my freedom, or is this going to contaminate my freedom? If it contaminates, get away. If it contributes, I take it on. At a stage where I needed money and I wanted money, is this going to produce and create profits? Is this congruent to my vision or not congruent? And I'd get rid of it. So it's okay to be spread too thin if you're having fun. Focus on how you feel as well, Cody. If you're maximizing life, you're fulfilled, you're excited about life, and you're satisfied with your results and the money you have, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not, if you're like, man, I don't have time for things I care about, you got to time block and figure out what needs to go. And you got to get rid of the noise out there that really, the things that don't matter to you right now that might not matter in a year or two. So it's all about sitting down and not, a lot of people say it's all about execution. And that's easy to say. It sounds really good online. Like you hear a lot of influencers, it's all about execution. No, it's not. Because I know people that execute, and they're in such a hole. They have this business that has too many employees. They can't get out of it. They have no flexibility. And now their business runs them versus you running your business. So it's about execution, but also it's about thinking things through, being super strategic and intentional, knowing your values, knowing your worth, knowing your principles, knowing what sparks you, and then defining and drawing a line in the sand like, okay, these are my boundaries. You're not going to steal my time because I value my family. I'm not going to say yes to all these things. I'm not going to volunteer if I don't have money for my family yet. I'll do it after. So that's what it's about, is just defining your values. Kim, how do you know when it's time to move on? I don't know what, move on from what? When your gut tells you and it doesn't feel right. When you're around something or someone and you're not looking forward to it and it gives you a negative emotion versus a positive one, then it's time to cut it. If I don't feel like talking to someone, or every time they call, I'm like, I don't want to talk to them. What's the point? And if it's a lot of people say it's family, just lower the time you spend with them. And eventually the right ones will support you and catch on. And if you're succeeding and they're still not catching on, it's better to cut them out. That's just how life is. Erica, you have another 50 years, and I know you're hustle and drive personally, so of course it is. There's a lot of people that start, it's funny, if you study Eric Thomas and you study some of these influencers, a lot of them didn't become successful until they were 45 and 50. So the answer is 1,000,000% yes. You just have to be willing to learn sometimes from young whippersnappers, right? That can cut your learning curve in half. But with technology these days and all the things that we have at your fingertips, if you have the drive and the reasons and you know your why and you have kind of a roadmap to follow, then for sure. Can you please explain something about self-awareness on social media? What do you mean? I don't know what that means. Can you explain something about self-awareness on social media? You can explain maybe breakthroughs you've had and post those so people can learn, for sure. How do you overcome what others think and view of you? That's tough. You have to make a definite decision not to fear people, because the more you fear people, the less effective you are as a human being. So it's just being aware and thinking about why you're letting them affect you. And then getting around people, Amanda, that don't fear people. If you're around a lot of people that actually care what people think, it's easier for you. But if you're around people that don't care what people think, that are strong in who they are, it's crazy. Here's an interesting story. My wife works really hard and makes her own money. But because she's my wife, sometimes people think that she doesn't make her own money and I make the money. So she used to pull up, she has a nice car, and people used to say, man, you must have a nice husband or a nice man. And that used to frustrate her so bad, because she's like, no, I make my own money. But because it affected her, she wasn't in a place where she fully believed that. When you know yourself and you're self-aware, that stuff doesn't affect you anymore. So you got to be more self-aware. You got to get more results. You have to really understand who you are. Then it won't matter as much. So there's too much going on in your head. You have to simplify. So now if she pulls up somewhere and they say, man, I know your husband bought that for you. I know you didn't earn that. She'll be like, yep, you're right. And just keep walking. And it doesn't even go in her radar, because she knows herself. She knows that she earned it. What does she need approval from some random person that if she was struggling wouldn't help her anyways? So when you know yourself, opinions become irrelevant. And when you know yourself, other people's views don't affect you anymore. So the answer to overcoming what people think of you is just get deeper into who you are and what you stand for. And when you know your intentions are good, hate doesn't affect you as well. Go, Kayla. That's funny. Kayla's a beast. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. I have to head off and continue my day, but I just wanted to hang out and spend some time with you guys. I appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you again for checking it out. If you guys are interested, some of you guys ask about the academy that some of you guys are on. It's gamechangersmovement.com. You can apply and see if it's for you. It's one of the top networking communities. If you want to level up your network, you can check out gamechangersmovement.com. If you're in the LA area, we're doing like a networking event this next weekend. So if you're in LA and San Diego and you want to join that, let me know below and I'll give you guys more information about it. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. The biggest thing you can tell yourself is right now matters. Not next month, next year. Most people spend the first half of their life saying they're too young and the second half saying they're too old. Don't be like most people. Tell yourself right now matters. Right after this live feed, do something to get yourself into action. Do something to get yourself into a state of mind where you can remember this stuff and then execute the one or two things that make the biggest difference for you in this live feed. I talked about a lot of stuff. Pick the one thing that you think is most relevant to you and it's going to help you the most the next couple of months. So all love, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Carmen, John, Jack, Ramaya, Wesley, Erica, Michael. Appreciate you guys.